Most people spend their lives chasing money the way a thirsty man chases a mirage, always believing that if they just run a little faster, if they just work a little harder, if they just find the right opportunity, then finally everything will change. But what they never stop to consider is that money does not respond to desperation. Money responds to value, and value is always a reflection of the person who is trying to earn it. I learned this lesson not from a book, not from a seminar, and not from a lucky break, but from a quiet moment of honesty when I realized that my income was not stuck because the world was unfair. My income was stuck because the world was unfair. My income was stuck because I was. Years ago, I used to complain about money the way most people do, saying the economy was bad, opportunities were limited, the system was rigged, and successful people were just lucky. But one afternoon, I met an older gentleman who listened patiently as I explained why things weren't working for me, and when I finally ran out of excuses, he smiled and said something that changed the direction of my life. He said, if you want more money, don't work on your money, work on yourself, because your income will never permanently exceed the level of your personal development. That idea hit me like a hammer, because it suggested something uncomfortable and something powerful at the same time. Uncomfortable because it meant I was responsible. Powerful because it meant I was also in control. You see, money is not a reward for wishing. It is a reward for becoming, and becoming always begins on the inside before it ever shows up on the outside. Well, most people try to grow their bank account without ever growing their mindset. They try to increase their income without increasing their discipline. They try to attract wealth without developing the habits and character required to keep it. And then they wonder why every financial breakthrough seems temporary. The truth is that money is like a shadow. It follows the person who is walking in the right direction, but it runs from the person who is chasing it blindly. I once knew two men who worked at the same company, earned the same salary, and had access to the same opportunities. Yet 10 years later, their financial lives looked nothing alike. One of them spent his evenings complaining about work, scrolling through distractions, and waiting for someone to notice his potential, while the other spent his evenings reading, learning, sharpening his skills, and asking himself how he could become more valuable tomorrow than he was today. The difference was not intelligence, luck, or background. The difference was personal growth, because one man invested in his comfort while the other invested in himself, and the marketplace eventually rewarded them accordingly. Personal growth is the quiet work that most people avoid because it does not offer immediate applause. It requires discipline when no one is watching. It demands humility to admit what you do not know, and it asks for patience because results come gradually. But financial growth is built on those very qualities. When you grow your communication skills, you increase your earning power because value flows through connection. When you grow your self-discipline, you protect your income from waste and impulse. When you grow your mindset, you begin to see opportunities where others only see obstacles. Money does not magically appear. It is attracted to competence, character, and consistency. One of the biggest lies people believe is that financial success is about learning tricks and shortcuts. But shortcuts only work for people who already have depth. Without personal growth, a sudden increase in money often creates bigger problems rather than solutions, because money amplifies who you already are. If you are undisciplined, money will magnify your chaos. If you are fearful, money will magnify your anxiety. If you lack direction, money will magnify your confusion. That is why some people earn a fortune and lose it just as fast, while others build modestly and keep growing steadily, because wealth is less about how much you make and more about who you become while making it. I remember a season in my life when I wanted financial freedom more than anything. Yet, every time I earned a little more, I seemed to have nothing to show for it, and it frustrated me until I realized that my habits had not changed, my thinking had not matured, and my standards had not risen. I was asking money to solve problems that only personal growth could fix. Once I began working on my discipline, my planning, my ability to delay gratification, and my willingness to learn, something interesting happened. My finances began to stabilize not because I earned more immediately, but because I managed better, decided wiser, and thought longer term. Personal growth teaches you to value progress over pleasure, learning over laziness, and responsibility over excuses, and those values are the foundation of financial growth. The marketplace does not reward intentions, it rewards results, and results are produced by people who have developed themselves to a higher level of thinking and action. When you grow personally, you begin to see that problems are not signals to quit, but invitations to improve. When you grow personally, you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift alone can change your income trajectory over time. There's an old saying that you cannot harvest in the spring what you failed to plant in the winter, and money works the same way. Personal growth is the planting season. It is where you sow discipline, knowledge, resilience, and integrity. And financial growth is the harvest season. It arrives later, but it arrives inevitably. People who skip the planting stage spend their lives hoping for a harvest that never comes, while those who quietly plant every day are often surprised by how much eventually grows. Another powerful truth is that personal growth expands your tolerance for responsibility, and responsibility is directly linked to income. The more responsibility you can handle without complaining, panicking, or procrastinating, the more value you can offer to the world. Leaders earn more because they solve bigger problems. Professionals earn more because they manage complexity. Entrepreneurs earn more because they shoulder risk and uncertainty. None of that comes without personal development. Money flows toward those who have prepared themselves to handle it. As you grow personally, you also develop confidence. Not the loud kind that demands attention, but the quiet kind that comes from competence. That confidence allows you to negotiate better, speak up for your value, pursue opportunities others avoid, and recover faster from setbacks. Confidence built on growth is stable, while confidence built on luck is fragile. The financial world rewards stability far more than flash. Eventually, I came to understand that personal growth is not something you do once. It is a lifelong commitment. Because the moment you stop growing, your income begins to stagnate, even if it doesn't look like it right away. The world keeps changing. Industries evolve, skills expire, and opportunities shift, and only those who continue to grow remain valuable. Financial growth is not about reaching a number and stopping. It is about becoming the kind of person who can adapt, learn, and create value in any environment. The moral of this story is simple but profound. If you want your financial life to change, you must first change the person earning the money. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Invest more in your mind than in your lifestyle. Grow your character before you grow your income. When you do, money will stop being something you chase and start being something you attract. Personal growth unlocks financial growth, not because it guarantees wealth overnight, but because it builds the foundation that wealth requires to arrive and remain. When you become more, you earn more, not as a reward, but as a natural result of who you have chosen to become.